Hi, I'm Ben Scharlin, and I'm Don Papa Rum's man on the ground here in Sugarlandia. Now, Sugarlandia is actually the island of Negros here in the Philippines. Don Papa Rum is produced here on the island, and that's because this is where we get our sugarcane in order to produce the rum. Now, in the last episode, we explored the city of Silay, and we discovered its rich heritage and history. In this episode, we stick with heritage and history, but instead of exploring homes and neighborhoods, we're going to dive into something that's different, but just as important and just as integral into the history of this island and its people. In this episode, we explore the heritage food and the heritage recipes and the kitchens of Sugarlandia. In order to help us on our journey, we're going to meet up with Kino Locsin. He's from one of the oldest families here in Silay, and he's a local food expert. We're going to talk to him about the importance of heritage recipes and the history of local cuisine. So Kino, what makes the food here so famous and so unique?
What makes our food here famous and unique is the shared memories that come with it. When we enjoy our food, we make memories, and these memories, every time we eat, that's the secret ingredient.
So can you talk about the families that came here that brought the recipes that have survived over the generations?
Because of sugar, families from Haro and Molo, Iloilo moved here to Negros, and when they moved here, together with their homes, they brought their kitchens. The most important meal in a week here in Silay would be the Sunday lunch. And this time, everybody's together enjoying each other's company. Because of these lunches, they have been preserving their family recipes throughout the generations.
Kino and I took a short walk through Silay's historical district. We walked to the ancestral house where Emma Lacson's delicacies, one of Silay's most famous private kitchens, has existed for 100 years. We went to try some of their famous offerings, freshly made, and to talk to some of the descendants of the original owners. Who is Emma Lacson, and when did the Emma Lacson's delicacies start?
My great-grandmother, Soledad Lacson, started the empanada. And then it was passed on to her daughter, Josefa Lacson. And then my mother, Emma Lacson, also took over, and then it's me. I am the 4th generation. It started off as a family gathering, and the recipe has been passed down to generations as a family heirloom, and now it has become a business.
So I'm about to try one of Emma Lacson's famous freshly made empanadas. It's still warm. And I think what makes this food special, like what Kino said earlier in our interview, is that it's not just food, it's history and it's heritage, and you can really taste it in the flavor. That's 100 years of deliciousness right there. Just a short distance away is the private kitchen of Cindy Belleza. Our cameras were only granted access briefly to capture her hand-rolling her famous fresh lumpia. Lumpia is the Filipino spring roll and can be found in Filipino establishments and households all over the world. What can't be found easily is the freshness and mastery of Cindy Belleza's technique. Don Papa Rum continues this tradition with its relationship to the island's history, culture, and attention to detail. So now we're deep in Silay, and we're headed towards this house that was converted into a fresh piaya factory. It's called Lola Basion's Piaya. The art of making piaya was handed down from generations, and now they make piaya in their kitchen for all the customers in Silay and beyond.
Ikaw naghimo sang recipe or gi-iridar mo ni?
Iridar ko lang ito sa lula namon sa una. Dason pasa-pasa sa mga apos. Nag-abot na ni sa lain-lain nga lugar ang amon piyaya.
Ano gining kinalain sa iban nga piyaya sang imo piyaya nga ginabalikan it kamo di ka ginakaduan?
Ang piyaya namon fresh. Ang sa amon gina tagay pusoon mag-ubra kami. Gina-feel gina namon nga Amo na ang gahatag sa amon sang pangabuhian. Gusto naman makadto pagin sa mga kaapuhan, sa mga kabataan, kaya hindi madula sa amon pangabuhi ang tinatawag na piyaya.
So this is the freshest piaya one can ever get in their lives. Straight off the grill, made by hand, super fresh Muscovado. So I'm gonna try my first one. Fresh piaya straight into my mouth. Nami gid. That means super delicious. Next up on our food tour, we take you to the oldest bakery in Silay, El Ideal. It was established in 1920, specializing in homemade breads and cookies, and it has resided in the same structure for 100 years. A heritage building in the heart of Silay called the Cesar Lacson Locsin Ancestral House. Now it's still very famous today for its baked products, pies, and for its pastries. El Ideal is the epitome of heritage food here in Sugarlandia, with its famous flavors and recipes handed down through the generations for 100 years, still thriving today with no end in sight.
I'm Mark Sanchez. I am the fourth generation owners. I am the great-grandson of the first owner, Cesar Lacson Locsin. The bakery started in 1920s as a home-based bakery by my great-grandfather, Cesar. And then eventually he opened his own shop. In the 1980s, my grandmother, Alice Locsin Villanueva, was the one running the bakery and the refreshment. So she also introduced her own recipes like the guapo pie. It's a pie made of guavas, and it's the local version or the Philippine version of the apple pie. So here at El Ideal, through the good food, we honor the legacy of my great-grandfather, Cesar Locsin. Actually, your visit here in Silay is not complete without passing by this iconic bakery.
So now we're here at 18th Street Pala Pala, which is one of the prominent fish restaurants here in Bacolod. We're going to sit down with the owners and talk to them a little bit about the history of the restaurant and of the fish culture here in Sugarlandia.
I'm Joman Lopez. I'm one of the owners here.
I'm Sylvia Goles. Usually I take care of the kitchen.
How did your family go become fish kind of experts?
Our family really loves to eat seafood, and we usually go to beaches for a swim. Then every time we go to the beach, my mother would call the fishermen, and then we decided why not come up with a seafood restaurant.
Just define what Pala Pala is.
The Pala Pala came from the word pala, which means shovel. The fish would be so abundant, so fresh, and people would shovel it. Either they bring it home or they ask for a restaurant to cook it. So what we did was we incorporated that experience. When you go here, you would see fresh seafood before you. You would pick it and then you would suggest ways of how to cook it, but with a style that is from our family, how we cooked it before.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for inviting us into your restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hope you enjoy our food and experience the freshest seafood in, I guess, the world.
We wanted to dive deeper into the seafood culture here in Sugarlandia. So we headed to Barangay Balaring in Silay to Melkin's Seafood Restaurant. This restaurant is literally built on top of the ocean. This is an ocean-to-table establishment. The seafood is caught and goes straight to your table. Seafood doesn't get any fresher than this anywhere in the world. And an added benefit to eating at a restaurant that's literally floating on the ocean, the fish is fresh, the views are spectacular.
Sugarlandia is famous for its food. People from all over the Philippines and all over the world come to this island to try its famous flavors and recipes. Now these recipes have been handed down through the generations, and they've been heavily protected by families in their private kitchens. Now these private kitchens still exist all over the island, and only locals know which homes to go to get certain foods. In this episode, we were lucky enough to be invited into some of the most famous private kitchens in Sugarlandia. But now, it's time to eat. I'm Ben Scharlin, and I'm Don Papa Rum's man on the ground. And until next time, Sugarlandia out.